Bless you, bless me, bless all the beings watching me. So I wanted to come on and do a reading slash clearing. We'll see what comes through in regards to communication during courtship, very specifically. Now, I know a lot of you are probably like me, and your coping mechanism when feeling anxious about a relationship, or especially a dance with a new person, or maybe a person you've been dancing with for a while, and you want to know the answers. You want to know that it moves through. And I feel that so strongly within myself, and I've noticed that the more I deepen into myself of why is this coming up for me, blah, 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 like that helps. But also using the cards more specifically for transmutation versus like predictive energy around like what's going on for them, why aren't they talking to me, when am I going to hear from them again, which are all true voices that live inside every single one of us. So we're going to do a couple reading slash transmutation, and we're going to do it for both parties, okay? And we're going to just see how this is an experiment. I'm playing around. I'm seeing what this is, and wanted to do, specifically around communication. The intention with this is that we obstruct any mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual blocks as it relates to connecting deeper with ourselves and the truth of why we're feeling the way that we're feeling, as well as it clears up the energy with the beloved other, as well as clears up the third space, the energetic space that you both share, especially if there has been more significant union. So I'll probably also read on the third energy. There's a spider crawling on me just now, on my feminine side. What a beautiful goddess weaving the world. Okay, so starting with our dragon energies within this pairing. And again, we ask that this be done within the highest good of everyone receiving this message. Okay, so we got green dragon and black dragon from Saturn. And the shared dragon energy is black dragon in reverse. This deck doesn't really do reverse because they're just guides that are working with us. So the shared energy here is black dragon. Cocoons you so that your divine potential grows. Meditate, reflect, and undergo a metamorphosis. Now, the reason I'm starting off with this one is because I do want to do this work within the sacred space, and I also want to ask that the healing energies of the shared energy, connected with Source Light, connected with the New Earth Grid, really bring us and our beloved others into our own individual little portals. Now, I'm going to do this reading as if it's just happening for one union pairing. Of course, many people are watching this, so this amplifies this for all of us. But we ask that all the energies remain separate. Because this is a sacred union reading, I'm going to not only call in our individual higher selves and that third energy, I also want to call in all sacred union couples, Mary Magdalene, Yeshua, Rama and Sita, Parvati, Shiva, Lakshmi and Vishnu. They must have arrived. Nameg always barks when I start invoking guides into the spaces. We ask that all and the very essence of of the divine, the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, that they come together. And we ask that right now, as we invoke this clearing, that they bless that shared energy space first and foremost, and they infuse it and they heal it. And then we also move down into our individual pillars and the shared energy within us, not with our beloveds, but the shared energy of the masculine and feminine, of the light and the shadow, as above, so below. So that all of these pieces are working in harmony today as we do this clearing. Now, this is so beautiful. So for the feminine, the green dragon card came through. Now, this helps you tune in with the secrets of nature, receive answers and guidance from nature, and align with your divine essence. All right, so for the feminine components of us, get out, be in nature. I mean, we've been getting this message so often lately, and it's more important than ever. Nature heals us, y'all. Like, it helps rebalance our bodies. So get barefoot, step outside, put your feet in dirt for 3 seconds. Like, anything you can do. So helpful. All right. Now, for the masculine components of us and within as above, so below, each respect and for the greater good well, it's all there. Black Dragon from Saturn brings you wisdom through spiritual discipline. Concentrate, focus on your ultimate vision, co-regulate yourself. You have passed a test. Now, I will say that this does feel like, we just got an energy for the collective feminine, which is Green Dragon, deepen with nature, because that's how our goddess, our priestess selves are being fully activated. Now, with the men right now, and there's an airplane flying above, and I always feel that that's just like, it's just this like, phew, of wisdom washing over. It's like a message. Visitors, friends, guides, your team is with you. But what I see here with the Black Dragon and with the masculine collective as a whole is they are clearing out a lot of mental blockages and egoic blockages right now. Someone I heard, Danielle on Harmonious Hearts, referred to it as clearing the blind spots. Now, the masculines have had a lot of blind spots, and of course that's within us too. And so we're clearing these like layers of ourselves where we've been blocking not only the connection with our beloved other, but the connection with ourselves, the connection with our higher selves, with spirit, the connection with our purpose. All right. And I feel like right now the masculines are going through an initiation where they are coming into greater awareness of what their purpose is and how they want to live their life. Though my grandpa just the other day, yesterday, because it was Memorial Day, was on the news, and he was just talking about how war sucks, but he loves his country and all this stuff. And I was sitting with that, and I was just like, we have to shed that out of our systems. Like, taking the war out of man is so important. And to do that, we first have to take the war out of ourselves, right? How often in these connections, and especially if we're not having a fluid connection with our beloved other, that we want to fight, that we want to grasp, we want to control, because we're hurting and we know that there's something better. And part of what's better is dancing in a co-creative union. And we got to have our masculines on board to do that more fully. And we get mad when they get distracted with things that are such in the opposite place of co-creative loving energy, which is fighting, which is war. So there's parts of our own systems that are getting stuck in these chaotic cycles. Okay, so we've got double Black Dragon, except this one's from Saturn. So that feels a little more intense. I wish I knew my planets better. I don't really know what Saturn's about, but if you know, you should post it in there. All right. Where do I want to go now? I grabbed these, so I'm going to trust that. So we're going to read the animal energies. All right. So for the feminine, it is skunk, which is all about cultivating and understanding sexual energy. Now, I do think... looking over at the Green Dragon too, she's holding a key, and in holding the key, like, I feel like that's a very womb energy. Now, I was just talking about taking the war out of man, and I think I talked about this on another video a few days ago, but that, our wombs are alchemical cauldrons, and they have to be respected. Just before this recording, I sat down and I did a yoni steam, and I'm just really trying to purify and release any masculine energy that I have brought in that isn't mine to alchemize, for one. For two, so that I can reclaim my own connection and strength to the earth, to my own purpose. And from there is where I want to re-engage my sexual energy. Now, I've noticed lately as I harness these energies, that I'm really trying to be particular about who I let in and when. And for me, that's it. The importance of that is being in a committed sacred partnership where both partners are actively working on themselves. They're actively working with that shared energy, so that the connection itself is sacred and harmonious and fun, and no one's obstructing or blocking the connection to themselves or to each other. Now, I know that might sound like a lot of ideals, but it's ultimately the energy that we're creating. And now, not all of that is sunshines and rainbows and butterflies that I watched fluttering around earlier today. It is It is the stormy nights, and it is these, these bad days, these all these pieces, right? Like that's a part of it too, but it's how we hold space not only for ourselves but for each other and for the world, as like the world goes through these things too. So yeah, skunk is just a reminder. Skunks are also very playful. They also have very clear boundaries. Generally you see a skunk and you're like, actually I'm probably not going to walk over there. But skunks actually have a behavior where before they spray, first they start stomping their feet and they're like, you're making me mad, and then they turn their back to you and then they raise their tail. So you get 3 warnings before you get sprayed by a skunk typically. And I think being aware of that, of our own boundaries. Now, what I also find too is just sometimes we create boundaries that are too rigid, or sometimes our boundaries are coming from places of hurt that other party might not actually be engaging. So it's really important to check yourself, to check how your energy is moving, sexual or otherwise. And, come back to that heart. Make sure that, if you're protecting yourself, or you're being intentional about how you move your energy, that it's really coming from a true place, coming from that higher self. So that's the message of skunk today. Also, this skunk is so freaking cute. You kind of just want to cuddle it. Good times. Good times cuddling a skunk. Yep. Okay. For the masculine here, we got the bear. Okay, and the bear is a medicine of introspection, right? There's a hibernation component to it. When I'm sitting with this bear, I'm really feeling this internal journey that the masculine are going on. And I see this with men in my life. I see it with components within myself. And some men are able to share while they're going through this, but most of them just kind of go into their own little bubble. And, the excuses that they give of I'm busy or like that sort of thing is really because like they're overwhelmed with their own internal process, right? And so the best thing that we can do in that is just kind of hold them in this frame of love. Now, what's interesting is the shared energy card I pulled out is nothing. No, it is whatever you need it to be. Maybe the spider is crawling on me again. It's just it tickles. I don't feel scared of it, but maybe the medicine is spider. For me, it definitely is, because it's like, what is the tapestry that you're weaving? What is the story that you want to create? We all go into those negative spirals of like, well, they don't love me, they don't care about me, and that's often not the truth. I had a dream recently about a past partner, and what the dream told me is like, he does love you and he does want to make it work, but it's only ever going to happen on his time. And I made the decision for myself is I really want to work with somebody who's able to work on a shared timeline, and not that I'm having to jump onto theirs all the time. And that was really hard because I put a lot of hope and desire. And, he still could wake up to that and there could be a potential union there. But I'm almost 36 and I want to have a baby, and I don't know if that's what spirit wants for me, but I'd like that to be a part of my path and story, and I'd like to have a family and a husband that I can live with, and so holding all of those dreams and those energies is kind of the medicine that I'm getting with the shared energy. Of course, with the skunks, that be intentional with how you use the energy. But if you need something to contemplate on, always go check in with that third energy, right? Now, what I love too is our black dragon has, is in a protective bubble too. It's a gestation period. So if there is a pause in communication, or, you're not lining up in communicating, or maybe you're just having communication conflict, whatever it is, get into that shared space of what is the shared dream? What is the shared magic? What is your shared animal totem? But what I really see when I look at look into this dream catcher like a crystal ball, what I see is using your energy, if you can, and you're balanced enough in yourself, to hold your beloved other in their highest during their transmutation journey. How often, if we have someone who's going to school, we want them to get through the program that they're in, especially if they're doing something that they love, and we know that it's going to bring them, bigger, better opportunities, but they've got to make it through that general course. We hold that vibration there of of them succeeding. All right. So I guess that's the invitation that's coming from this third energy with the animals. Now, where else? I'm going to go to the plants. We're going to go to the animals. So we went from the dragons, the animals, to the plants. All right. So, and I love these plant cards because they are so grounded and celestial simultaneously. All right. So we're starting with the female, which comes through as a breakthrough. All right. The medicine of ginkgo. All right. And the next card that comes up for the masculine is ancient memory, rosemary. Okay. What do we get from this? All right, so I think the feminine, what I get here is the feminine is because there's like a sorcerer arm here and a raven, and the sword of truth. And what I get here, and there's a crowning of the sword itself, right? So this is a message for the feminine component within and without to really allow that breakthrough to come through, allowing this higher consciousness and to cut through the veils of illusion that our brains put us through. We don't need to circle with those negative stories. And I recently had a conversation with someone and I was telling them, I was like, yeah, I didn't hear from you for a few days and I was feeling a little concerned. And they're like, just text me, Haley, just text me. Like, don't write those stories. Like, just reach out. And that created a really, just having that permission, even within myself, whether I reached out or not, or continue to stay, I was like, wait, why am I writing a story right now when I could stop the game and I could just do what I feel like I need to do, which is connect. Or what is it that I need to connect with that isn't specifically this person? So the energies of breakthrough here, it feels very grounding. It feels like bringing both the celestial realm onto the earth for me, and really allowing this precision in communication, so that if you are going to communicate, that you get really direct and specific about what your needs are and communicating them from a really clear and direct space. Now, I in the last year have read so many books on communicating because I felt like I wasn't doing a good job. I could have been with somebody who wasn't really matching that, although sometimes I was learning from their styles of communication. And anyway, it's one friend told me that he bought a book that he saw on an Instagram ad that was just Talk to Me Like You Love Me was the title of it. And I love book titles that give you everything that you need in the title. You don't even need to read the book. So talk to yourself like you love you. Would you tell your friend, would you just sit there and be like, yeah, well, he probably hates you. And, well, he's definitely... he's definitely doing every possibly horrible thing that you can imagine. You wouldn't talk to your friends that way. Why do you let your head spiral in those directions? Tell yourself better stories. And for a while too, replacing those with the opposite of oh, well, he's probably just making a shrine to you in his closet because he loves you so much and he's embarrassed to talk to you. And, Helga Arnold style, write better stories and get ridiculous. I have a technique that it's called 1-2 ridiculous. So it's oh, well, maybe they're busy. Maybe they've there's been a shift in a family dynamic and they're having to tend to that. Maybe they've been abducted by aliens, just 1-2 ridiculous. And usually by the time I get the third one, I laugh. And if you need more numbers, take as many numbers as you need, but throw in the ridiculous ones so that you can laugh at yourself for how intense your brain is taking things. Okay, so for the masculine, all right, this card has been coming up a lot, the ancient memory. I think it's because we're doing a lot of karmic clearing. Now, as I was talking about taking the war out of man, I think it's very specifically for the masculine lines and the way the masculine is locked into our DNA of this need to fight, of this need to show up in a false sense of strength, right? Because what we know is that true strength is vulnerability, right? It's also being able to lift heavy shit, and I super appreciate that. But it's not going out with your chest flared up and it's being present, saying, hey, what's going on in your heart? So I think as we sit and do this work, and obviously I am feminine and they are masculine. We hold both energies within. Just can't reiterate that enough. We're doing this within ourselves, and it's showing up externally too. But it's easier to do it sometimes for the one you love, or for others, than it is to do for yourself. So as we connect to this ancient memory, it's like, what's getting cleared out of the bloodlines right now? It's not just fighting, it's also addictions, it's distortions. It's the way that the males have typically showed up, right? How they've typically gotten aggressive, how all of these things. Now, some of that is it's just learned behavior, and some of it is just how they're wired. And it's like, in that ancient memory, how do we bring healing to the places of that need the light? How do we bring without judgment? We just say, hey, like, we're not doing it that way anymore. And I saw a meme the other day. This is just a silly thing, and it was a picture of a garden hose, and it was like, this is Hose and this is Jose, and they were both pictures of a garden hose, but Jose was wearing a tiny sombrero. And I showed my friend the meme. I said, hey, I saved this meme in 2024. Are we still doing this humor? Is this okay? And who cares? I mean, it's so silly. There's nothing to do it, but it's just like, also but sometimes jokes have to die, and sometimes they're not appropriate anymore. Like, we're just not joking that way anymore. And it's okay to be like, actually, we're not doing it that way anymore. And from a loving place, and especially as our terminology changes and this world moves so fast, and you're playing with pronouns and all of the things. It's like, yeah, we're just making shifts continually, and sometimes it can be hard to keep up with that and to keep up with the times. But as we keep up with the times and we continue to move energy, I think the real medicine of it is, how do we shift our hearts so those are always, like, however we're sharing is always coming from a place, joy, love, expression, play, all of those things as much as possible. And it's never coming from a seedy spot. Because even in the shadow components, there doesn't need to be seedy stuff. Wow. Okay. So the shared energy that came up was nettle, action. All right. And I love this, like, kundalini snake almost that's coming through here. There's mountains, there's crystals, there's like a blood moon. I feel like there's some like blood magic having gotten here. Nettle, which is great. I put nettle in my yoni steam this morning. Not even really thinking about why. But seeing the snake also reminds me of the transmutation energies. I have a big snake fear, and the way that I can handle it, but the way that I've handled seeing a snake and the people I've been around when I've seen a snake, it's like, it's so telling to how those people receive me when I'm in a vulnerable state, as well as I can receive them if they also feel vulnerable from this, or if they don't, A couple years ago, I was cleaning out my garden and my cousins were here, and I moved over a rock and a snake jumped out like a can of nuts, I swear. It was like, blood! I was like, snake! And my cousins were like, yeah? So? And I'm like, did you see it? It was there, and they're like, yeah, so? My cousins, they were young. They were in their 9 and 12 or something. But they grew up catching garden snakes and playing with them, where I grew up just being mortified by them. And it was just this beautiful thing. And yeah, the other day I saw a rattlesnake, got really afraid, and the man I was with, he handled the situation. He's like, I got this. He's like, you go do that. And I was like, yeah, I can do that, and I held it down, and he got stuff cleaned up, and we reconvened in a new spot. And then I checked in with him because he also wasn't super comfortable with snakes, and he checked in with me. We grounded each other, and it was beautiful. All right. So just really embracing this element of action. How do you transmute these fears? How do you let these breakthroughs come through as you come to a deeper understanding of where and why these things are coming up? And even if you don't understand where or why these things are coming up, how are you moving with them as they do? How are you bringing this transmutation energy? Now, what I think is funny for myself personally about nettle, when it brushes up your skin, it feels pretty uncomfortable. And, many people are like, oh God, it itches, and you got to rub a leaf against it, and it's a whole thing, right? I actually like the way it tingles my skin. As I don't get it, like, you know, it doesn't itch for days or whatever. It's just like this weird, like, kind of numbing sensation. And I actually enjoy it because it's a new type of sensation. So I guess that's also an invitation in this work, like, in these areas of discomfort or unfamiliar territory that just feel kind of strange, how can you be with it and either find, you know, what the lesson is around it that you need to integrate or thing, or how can you just enjoy being like, oh, well, this is different, and this is different in a way that, like, I want to continue, this is different in a way I don't, like, do I need to speak this, like, what action needs to be taken? And I think the more deliberate you get around that, the more intentional you get with that transmutation, with that snake energy. And it could be very possible, but that's this snake here, this is the snake was meant to be in here. I don't know, we'll see. Okay, this has felt really good so far, and I'm actually going to leave it there. I think I'm going to do a part 2 of this because I want to connect in deeper with the other cards, but this video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to pause it, and, well, not pause it, I'm going to stop it. You've gotten some good integrative medicine here if you want to continue on. You can either connect with me so we can do a one-on-one, or we can, I don't know, we can do part 2. Why not? All right. Many blessings. Aho. See you in part 2. Bye-bye.